Okay, unfinished business is rate analysis, water and sewer for city customers. Rich?
Just, all I want to do is just, at this point in time, bring you up to date on some issues that have transpired regarding this, and then ask any question, if there's any questions of council on this. Greg Sundin and I have been in communication with Jim Young, who was partner with Gosling Zubek on the rate study. And I believe when we did that presentation before, we referenced that it would be our intent to continue to work with Jim Young as our rate attorney in any future negotiations with the township. So we have been in contact with him, and we will be meeting with him tentatively on June 7th, June 18th, to develop basically a strategy as we move forward into negotiations with the township. We'll also begin working on setting up a meeting, an initial negotiation session with the Alpena Township personnel so that we can move forward with that. Though a couple of things that did come up in our discussions with Jim was that it was a question that was posed by one of the council members, was whether we should basically go through bang the gavel, adopt rates in advance of the negotiations. And basically it was Mr. Young's opinion that as long as council was in support of the rationale that staff had assembled and not necessarily saying we're going to select this rate, but you agree with the need for an increase, the need for an increase of somewhere in the magnitude of what we were proposing, but that you basically agreed with the concept of it, that was sufficient. Then we could move forward with him working in negotiations, and it basically became a tool that he could use in the process. The other thing that we are, I guess would request of council was, during this not negotiations, but the strategy session on June 18th, if city council wishes to have a representative there, or the mayor wishes to appoint a member of council to participate in that strategy session, to provide any input from council during that, we would welcome that. It's also our intention that we will be updating council on a regular basis in closed session as far as the status of any negotiations as we do move forward. But if council is interested in having, I shouldn't say representative, having one of the council members or two of the council members participate in that strategy session, we would be more than happy to have those participate. Right now it's set up for basically 10 o'clock in the morning on June 18th. Till whenever. Excuse me, before 5.
Yes.
Greg has made it very clear that he likes being married. He wants to get home for his anniversary, so.
We'll be done but we set aside the whole day if that's what we need, starting at 10. And he is available for that entire time if necessary.
And we will be bringing a contract to council with regard to utilizing his services. Mr. Young will be assembling that document and forwarding it to us, and we hope to have it for the next council meeting.
Part of what his rationale would be in terms of as we move ahead with negotiation is that it isn't necessary that we have a rate set. However, as Rich said, not only, the concept of the methodology, which I think that was presented at the last meeting, which I think, at least in my opinion, is a sound methodology for doing that, but at least having some kind of base number that we're working at. And I know the one that we were proposing, at least as of right now, was the one that created roughly around 1.67 million in capital, which had a $5 charge for the ready.
$10 total.
Right, $5 for each water and sewer, ready-to-serve charge, and then all the numbers were based on that. Now, obviously, we're not asking that you approve it, but what we'd like is that there's agreement on that concept, kind of around that number, and that may fluctuate depending upon, obviously, how negotiations, but at least, it would be apparent that this is a basic rate structure that the city is prepared to adopt as part of this whole process, obviously with the final numbers depending on what the results of the negotiations are. The idea being is that once we negotiate, then both would agree or would have to adopt rates at that point in time. That would, hopefully, the plan is that they would go into effect then January 1st of next year.
And basically, we have an agreement to continue the rates that
Right.
we presently charge through January.
Yeah, through
December
December 31st.
That's
So
what we're at
the
right
goal
now.
would be to get the,
Everything finished up.
right, have everything finished up and rates all approved before then so they can go into effect the beginning of next year. Whatever that final rate determination is.
Staff is, and also if you have any questions on what was presented last time, if you've had a chance to look at further. I know that there was some email questions that were emailed back and forth, and I think we've tried to respond to those, the city council members as far as what the impacts from those would be.
There's a lot of things being tossed out. I think it would be a good idea to go back a couple of minutes, to have a council representative at the meeting with Mr. Young. Um,
Anybody interested in that?
Well, no, that'd be just a matter of either the
Yeah,
mayor
it's-
appointing or if there's a
yeah.
volunteer and it's agreed upon by the mayor, it'd just be an appointment at this.
Anybody particularly available for that? You're available for that, Susan? You're available for that?
We want no more than two.
Two would be
Because
the-
otherwise you gotta,
You open that door now.
We're all gonna be there.
well, then we have an issue there. for that one.
Draw a card.
Yeah.
And I understand, the council members, you also have other
Obligation.
obligations.
Well, some of it do.
So, I mean, if it's a matter of participating to part of the
I think
time.
one, in my opinion, one is plenty. I think I trust the judgment and stenography of anybody here to report accurately what happened.
We can send two if two wanna go. I mean, that's twice as many questions for the thing, for him. So I'm not available that day more than likely, so do either Mike or Sean, do you want?
I'd like to go. I think Susan would like to go.
That would be, I know for myself, on the 18th that I'm busy.
It's
Overloads that
Tuesday.
time of year, so.
Yeah, it'd be a Tuesday.
That doesn't sound.
It's not a Wednesday,
You
so
don't-
I'm available.
You didn't seem overly excited. Are you fine with?
I'm fine with.
Okay,
with
why don't we just say that then? Expect that Susan and Sean, make sure they know the time if it changes.
I will be putting it on the calendar, and I'll send both council members an invite to that.
Very good.
As long as you're not really gonna count on my stenography.
Your repertorial skills.
And like I say, it's our intention that once we get into negotiations, that we will be providing regular updates back to the city council.
Sure, yeah. So you're not gonna take any action at the meeting, but it would be, I think it would be good to have
Yeah.
a couple of different people there for questions. And as far as any kind of action that he needs, that Mr. Young might need in us, I think we've kind of, as a council, made it clear that we are expecting to raise the rates. Probably, I can't say in accordance with the numbers that you've said that you favor, but
We've given you a
But
variety.
you've given us a
from
variety.
5 to 831
I gotta-
is options there.
yeah,
And it may be something different than that.
right. So,
I have another thought, if nobody on council agrees with this, then I'm fine with that too, but I was wondering if we should think about setting up a pool of money from the income of the new rates, say $50,000, that number would be between 2 and 3% of the annual take of a middling rate increase. For people who can't pay their bills, can't pay their new water bills, I don't know if we have a mechanism then to force repayment, late down the road, but we don't know how this is gonna impact people initially. And I wouldn't suggest $50,000 every year, but try to keep it up to that if we find that it's more than a few folks need. It occurred to me a day or so ago, and haven't had
One
a chance.
thing we have to be careful with, and I just caution, is that our city ordinance is very specific that we cannot give free service.
I understand.
So they're gonna get a bill, they're gonna have to pay that bill.
Right.
I mean, if it's some other mechanism to funnel that money back, but that's what council directs, but we can't just,
It'd be some sort of after-the-fact loan, I would think, but again, I haven't thought this through, and I don't know everything background that you know, but,
We can look at, again, what our ordinance says, and if there are any possibilities for that, and then we report that back at a future meeting here in the next meeting or two.
Is it legal even to hold
Well-
taxpayers' money? Is that something we should investigate? Just-
That would have to
just
be
hold
part of what we
people's
have to
money.
look at,
I don't,
is whether we can use the
Dedicated
funds we
fund.
receive for that type of use, that I don't know, and that's something we'd have to look into.
I got my bill from the new water meters, I'm not happy with it.
Yeah. And there are, I'm sure there's a lot of, there's other funding available as well for people in there with their utilities and things to help them out, so. It's a good idea, we should certainly look into it, but,
I think one of the other suggestions from council was to look at what resources may be out there for those folks, and try to have a list or the information for folks that.
throw it in with the first bill or something like that, because there's state and federal programs available for that type of assistance. Maybe a good reminder would be a good gesture at the very least.
So you don't actually need any rates set tonight, you just need more or less an agreement that we know that it has to be something.
Actually, according to Jim Young, he would prefer that there would not bang the gavel on rates, so to speak, of establishing. But like I said, just if the format, the philosophy that we've used in establishing those rates, and I mean, like I said, we've given you a range from $5 per utility per customer up to $8.31. And it may be within there, it may be outside of there. That's gonna be decided after we get through the negotiation process.
Mr. Young really just wants some teeth, negotiate with, or at least understand.
Baseline, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that the council does agree that there will be, in essence, a rate increase. The exact, degree of that, we don't know yet.
Fair enough.
Understand that too. I mean, over the last several months, we've all looked at the cost to produce, measure, with the new meters, prices that we're charging to be able to maintain and improve the systems, and then we've all talked about citizens' ability to pay as being a major factor that we have to consider in that as well. So I think with that, we know we have to do something. I think I've heard several say we can't kick this can down the road anymore, and I agree with you. We have to do something.
We'll get through one meeting without.
One
that.
meeting without.
Kicking the can. Susan brought it up last week.
Comes in and picks it up.
One of these days,
Another 5 a.m. text.
it's kind of a chicken and egg argument of whether we should set the rate first,
Thank you.
or whether we should wait for the township's rates, but we can't control the speed of those negotiations.
They go hand in hand. That's the downside, is they really do go hand in hand. And I think we want to try to develop both together. And I think it's a wise move. We've got the information to council, they're aware of it. Now it's time to bring the rate attorney in and get him involved as far as in the negotiation process.
Okay, I think we're doing well, and you don't need any particular action from us. Just to
No,
report.
because like I said, we will be bringing back a contract Is it gonna take the attorney time?
I just think there needs to at least be general consensus amongst council that you're gonna hire Mr. Young as the rate attorney. That was a previous recommendation that had been made to council when council voted to expend funds for Gosling Zubik in the rate study. It was recommended at that time. It was something that I support, something that Greg supports. I think we need to have somebody who's specifically trained in utility law and rate law to come in and help negotiate on our behalf. So Rich does not have a contract to present to you today for Mr. Young's services, but we need to at least know that council's agreeable to using him to help negotiate that rate with the township.
Yeah.
Because he's planning on being here on the 18th, you're not gonna be able to approve that to the 17th, but we need to know that we can move in that fashion before we decide to get him here. And
That's a good.
So you need a motion on that then? I'm
I
assuming.
think we need at least a motion that council approves staff negotiating with Mr. Young with final approval to come on the 17th, once we have the contract, but we need to kind of know that before we plan on bringing him over here on the 18th without any formal approval. So we need to have at least a general consensus that council's agreeable to that.
And if his, and I would just add that that his contract can be reviewed by Bill before our meeting on that day, so.
I would suspect I'll probably have it the next couple of days. He'll draft something, and once I get it all of our contracts go through the city attorney.
Okay.
And Bill, would you still be involved in that process?
I will be. The only thing, I spoke with Greg earlier, and I don't know if I'll be available for the whole day on the 18th, but I do plan on being here for at least a portion of that meeting. It sounds like that, I mean, that's gonna be a strategy session, obviously. So, you know, I'll be involved in that, but Jim will be taking the lead in terms of direct negotiation with the township.
Would you-
Somebody wanna do that?
A motion? I move that we authorize council to negotiate, I mean, not negotiate, but to,
What Bill said?
Yeah, what Bill said.
And when you don't know, just say, yeah,
So
that.
Take that action. Karen, she's
well,
right.
She's writing it
at
out.
least
She's
entertain
right.
Mr. Green, is it? What's his
Yeah.
name?
Mr. Young.
Young.
Young, sorry, Mr. Green Young. Anyway,
I would second that.
with city attorney reviewing the contract previous to her.
You're fired.
And you're
Yeah.
Second that.
second.
I already got you.
Yeah, my turn.
Third it.
You got third.
Eiler,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Sexton.
Yeah.
Walagora.
Aye. Thank you.